Today is day 3 of my brand new small account challenge, but you know what? I can't do this. Not today. Not with that chipper music, because I'm not feeling so chipper today. In fact, I'm feeling a bit frustrated. Today was the first day I came up against a big stumbling block. So what went wrong? Well, I laid out for you guys in my masterclass I uploaded at the end of last week, my small account strategy, step by step, exactly how I would approach growing this small account. I would sit down each morning for 2 hours. I would focus on trading stocks that met all 5 pillars of stock selection, and I would wait for a pullback. Today, everything went off the rails, and I'm ashamed to admit it. Today, I let myself down. I let you down, and dare I say, I let the children down. Because as you probably know, all of the profits from this small account challenge are getting donated to charity. And I feel like an idiot. I've been sitting here all day wearing not one, but 2 sweaters. What good is wearing 2 sweaters if not for the good luck? I ask you. The good luck was nowhere to be found today. I was not able to double my account. I know. I've brought shame upon myself and certainly my family. I sit here today having traded the leading gainer, which was SHFS, and I'm up 68%. I know. Far, far shy of that 100% goal that I set for myself and for the children. So as I sit here today, up $7,521.28, I ask myself where things went wrong. Now, of course, on day 1, I started with $1,995 in the account. This morning, I came in with $10,963.80, which meant today's goal was to double the account, to make $10,963.80, and I'm up $7,500. The balance on the account is now $18,000. Growth of 926%, far shy of over 1,000%, which I thought was certainly in the cards for today, day 3. Well, the good news is the account is growing and you guys are helping, because if you recall at the beginning of this small account challenge, I told you that all of the profit that I make will get donated to charity, but you guys can help me double that donation. I'm offering a match. So for every one of you guys that hits the thumbs up in videos in this small account series or who subscribes to the channel, I'll add an extra $1 to charity. So we are now at $44,075.77, and I'm impressed because you guys have set the curve. I'm now trying to play catch up. Now, in all fairness, you did get a 2-day head start because I uploaded that masterclass on Saturday. So you had all of Saturday and all of Sunday to gain those thumbs up and the new subscribers, which was great. So here I am starting a little bit behind, a day late and $1 short, as they say, but I am rallying. So you guys, I really appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up. I appreciate you subscribing. We're at $44,000 so far in the challenge, and we are not stopping here. We've got a lot more work to do. So for those of you guys who were tuning in live today, you saw a pretty interesting morning. In fact, I actually did not take my first trade until 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I sat down at 7 a.m. So I sat here for 2 hours in 2 sweatshirts, sweating like an idiot, waiting for something to pop up. And there was nothing. There was no breaking news at 7, no breaking news at 7:30, nothing at 8, nothing at 8:30, nothing at 9. And then finally we had something that started to move, and I jumped on that. And then we had another stock that took off. And so all of a sudden, in a matter of 15 minutes, I made all of the profit from today. So I'm going to go through my live trading archive for you guys and walk you through how I approached the day for those of you guys that missed the action live in person. But I want to remind you guys who haven't already joined us for our 2-week trial that you can be watching live. It's $20 for a 2-week trial, and that helps pay for your market data. This is a chance for you guys to use the same tools that I'm using right here: real-time data, scanners, charts, newsfeed, my live audio video broadcast, and access to our chat room where you can chat with me, plus all the other traders in the community, including traders who have their verified profitability badges. Now, let me remind you, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and neither are the results of those students who have earned 100K, 500K, $1 million or higher badges here at Warrior. You've got to pay your dues. Take it slow. So SHFS was the first stock I traded. And so if we go back to the very beginning of the day, when I sat down, it was actually last night after hours, I checked my after hours scanners, and I often do this. So I'll pull up my phone, and on my phone, I can log in to warriortrading.com. And when I log into warriortrading.com, I can open the Day Trade Dash platform here. I go to scanners, and I check after hours top gainers. And I saw SHFS up 283% after hours. Holy smokes, this is a big move. So, I was like, all right, here we go. Because this has kind of been the theme this week, right? We saw it on Friday after hours, we saw it on Monday after hours, and then again on Tuesday after hours. Big moves in the after hours session, and then some of them have continued in pre-market. So after hours, we were stair-stepping up, right? Moving higher, moving higher. And each one of these steps represents a pullback opportunity. This is right out of the class that I taught that I uploaded over the weekend on my small account growth strategy. Buying these pullbacks, buying these pullbacks. We find the stock because it's hitting our scanners, whether it's the after hours top gainer scanner or our small cap high day momentum scanner. We see the news catalyst on the stock quote window, and then we're buying those pullbacks. So I didn't trade this after hours. It's not really my strategy to trade that late in the day. But you certainly could have, and I'm sure some of you did. Nonetheless, by pre-market, well, we were kind of stair-stepping back down. Now, we did pop for a second, and then we went lower, which is bearish. Now, I took my first trade on it, not here, but right here, because something significant was happening. Right here, we were breaking over the volume-weighted average price, the VWAP. That is a very important line in the sand. We talk about it all the time. So when we're below VWAP, the bears are in control. And when we're above VWAP, the bulls are in control. So that was my first trade right there on SHFS. So I sat down. Well, I was already sitting down. So I pulled up the stock and I said, all right, for this setup, what I'm watching for is this pullback here and if we can hold the volume-weighted average price. It was as simple as that. Now, for members at Warrior Trading, you guys will be able to watch my full live trading archive from this morning. My live trading archive from day 1 and day 2 are already uploaded. So, of course, you could watch those as well. And I'll give you guys here tuning in for this recap, just a little sneak preview of what this looked like. So I sat down early. And so the first 2 hours of my stream and my broadcast was me just looking at different stocks that were hitting the scanners and talking myself out of them. And I said, this is going to be a day where I'm really going to have to exercise patience. This, for example, is a very interesting stock. Some of you might have said, Ross, what about JZXN? JZXN was up about 30-40% here. It was squeezing up. And look at this catalyst. The appointment of a new COO and the board endorsing a crypto asset investment policy allowing up to a $1 billion deployment. That is huge. Or is it? Well, let's just pause this video for one quick second and let me jump over here and walk you through something. So I saw that news on JZXN and I thought to myself initially, sounds great. In fact, sounds amazing. Does it sound too good to be true? And so I said, let me take a look at the filings, because if they're putting out the headline that they're going to buy up to $1 billion of cryptocurrency for an asset treasury strategy, I'd like to see if they've got $1 billion on the balance sheet to make it happen. So you can see this pops up here, pops up, and is now sold off, bouncing off of the 200 moving average, which is a daily level, which is a technical resistance point. So JZXN, I go into the filings, I look at the last filing, I scroll all the way down, and I'm looking for the balance sheet. Now, I know that this is already a Chinese company, so I'm already approaching it with a bit of skepticism. So I scroll down, a little bit further, almost there, keep going to the very bottom, and here we go. They've got $900,000 on their balance sheet in cash. They've got $10 million in total assets, some of which include assets that are other receivables and current assets. It's hard to know how liquid that is. That could be, I don't know, it's hard for me to say. But in any case, there's a huge discrepancy between the 10 million that you have here and the headline. So I can't really explain the reason or purpose for that big discrepancy other than it sounds like the board authorized a digital, a currency strategy, investment strategy up to $1 billion. I just don't know where that money is going to come from. So, on the one hand, the headline sounds good, but on the other hand, I'm questioning it. In contrast to the headline that I was really hoping for today, which was a what? Private placement. All right, so I've talked about this several times over the last several sessions. So let me just put it up here. Oops, there we go. Almost lost my. So a private placement. So what is a private placement? A private placement is when you have a company here, we'll just call it ticker ABC, and then you have a private institution here. This could be a hedge fund, could be a collection of institutional traders, and they say, hey, company, we will give you money right here, and we want in exchange shares. Now, typically, if the current trading price, let's just say, for example, is $10, and the company is going to get an infusion of cash of, let's just say for the sake of argument, $10 million. They're getting $10 million. Then in theory, you should say $10 million here at $10 a share, they should get 1 million shares, right? That's an even split. But usually the institution will say, well, hold on one second. We're going to give you $10 million. We want a discount on the current trading price. So we want a 50% discount. We're going to write you a check for $10 million. You're going to give us 2 million shares. And usually the company, well, they don't have a lot of room to negotiate. If someone's giving them that money, they give them the shares. In fact, we had an example of a stock a lot like this, where the company gave them an infusion of capital. It was about $100 million. And in exchange, they got 55 million shares. 55 million shares of the stock, which is a huge amount. So for every dollar a share that stock went up, those institutional traders, that firm, was up $55 million. And guess what? In that arrangement, the purpose of the 100 million that institution gave to that company was to be used exclusively to purchase cryptocurrency. So now on the balance sheet, that company is going to be holding $100 million of a cryptocurrency. So what does that do? Well, now think about all the institutional investors out there and retail traders who want to buy cryptocurrency, but who don't want to put their money on one of these offshore international exchanges. Well, they could just buy shares of this publicly listed US company because the shares of that company will give you exposure to the cryptocurrency because they're holding it on their balance sheet. And so this is that little backdoor secret, that way that you can get around sort of that regulatory hurdle of buying crypto without really buying crypto. And this is really more for institutional players. So the result was that this stock ended up going up over $100 a share. $100 a share. Now, let's just think about that. $100 per share price increase with 55 million shares. Holy smokes. They're up over $5 billion. $5 billion. The institution. That's unbelievable. And of course, there are investors that made a lot of money and retail traders like myself that made a lot of money on those moves. So what I've been really looking for is a private placement where I know the money is going right on the balance sheet and is going right into this cryptocurrency. A headline where the board is authorizing a crypto strategy is meaningless. I made the joke earlier that I could put an announcement that I'm going to go tell my wife, hey, I'm authorizing us to buy $1 billion of crypto and put it on our balance sheets. Well, where's the $1 billion coming from? Don't you worry about that, right? Because it doesn't really mean anything if you don't actually have the money to back it. That's the problem. So anyone can say they're going to do it, but can you really do it? And this is something that we've also seen, for the sake of argument, with share buybacks. Companies will say, we've authorized a $50 million share buyback. They've authorized it, but then they never actually follow through with it. So just because you've authorized it doesn't really mean it's going to happen. Now, I may be wrong. It may end up happening with this company, but I don't know. So in any case, the market is clearly approaching this with some skepticism. The price moved up and then it sold off. So no trades on JZXN. I said, nope, I can't trust that one. So that was one of the first stocks that popped up. And then we sort of moved forward, just kind of sitting tight. There were a couple other stocks that popped up a little bit. I usually, that stock pops up, I check it, I look at it, I think about it, and I'm like, nah, do I like it? Do I not like it? QURE, 52 million share float. This one, a little bit higher price at $39. Jumped up on this big gap because it was halted and then had news, but no trades on that. A little too expensive for the small account. BINI, this is the stock that has done a series of reverse splits. It seems like there's no floor. It just goes lower and lower. So that one dropped down. And then all of a sudden, coming up towards 9:15, so this is going to be, let's see, we'll back this up to right about here, 9:15, I decide to break the ice. So I'm watching SHFS right here. And as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, what are we looking for? The stock is broken over the volume weighted average price, and I'm looking to do a double bottom off of this dip, which is right around 9:30. So I press Shift 1. Shift 1 enters 6,500 shares, which is using 95% of my buying power. All I have to do now is press the Enter button. So I'm watching the level 2. I'm waiting. I see some green on the tape right there, and I punch it. I'm filled. So now I'm looking for the pop back up over the $0.50. This $0.50 whole dollar strategy playing out. I'm looking for the retest of the high a day. Now I'm already a little cautious about it, and right here it hesitates. See how 52.56? Right in this moment, we're hesitating. And this is really where my eye is. Yes, I'm glancing at the chart. I look at the chart, but my eye is on the level 2. So back that up 10 seconds. Let me just show you again. So I'm watching here. I've got the order ready. I see green on the tape right down there. I punch it. I'm in at 38. Now I'm seeing green on the tape at 50, 58. And now right here, it slows down. It went from 58 back down to 56. And I'm like, uh-oh. Can we break through 60? We do, but only just barely. And so I said, you know what? Take it off the table. So I took it off the table right there. I'm all out. Well, except for one share. For some reason, I think I sold half. I pressed the hotkey to sell half, and then I pressed the hotkey to sell half a second time. So sometimes if you have like 17 shares, you do half and half. Both orders are for 8, and then you've got one share still outstanding. So anyways, I ended up selling that one share, whatever. But I could just tell that it was hesitating in this area. And I was like, see, this just, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can work with that. That's a problem. And so that broke the ice with my first trade at about 9:17 a.m. And I made $1,500, which even though I would have loved to have been able to double my account again today, really the goal was to grow my account by 10%. 10% a day. So I had $11,000 in the account. So $1,100 was 10% of the account. So that was the goal, and I exceeded that. So I was grateful for that trade. But we also had TNFA, which had hit the scanners a little bit earlier, as you could see right here. And this is the next stock that I end up trading. Now, TNFA pops up on the scanner, and all of a sudden we see this nice squeeze higher, as you could see right here. Now, it ends up pulling back, and then we get this breakthrough 550, and it pushes even a little bit higher. This live trading archive, I'm going to save for Warrior Pro members. So for those, and you know what I'll do? You know what? Here, I'll do this. For those of you guys who are tuning in on YouTube, I will give you a link. I'm going to pin it to the top of the comments in the description. Click on that link, and I'll let you go ahead and watch the rest of this live trading archive. I'm going to host it over at Warrior Trading, where I host all of my live archives. So click on that link. You can watch the rest of it. And hey, make sure, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up for today's episode. Hopefully you've already subscribed to the channel. Your thumbs up and your subscriptions are helping with the match to donate money to charity. We're at $44,000 so far. We've still got more money to raise, more work to do. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And let me remind you, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk. Take it slow, and always practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. I'll be back at it live streaming first thing tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.